Hello and welcome to another update video about Ethereum. The Ethereum chart, we start on the daily chart. The Ethereum chart is basically unchanged, still shows a lot of bullish momentum, you could say. A little bit choppy on the way up, but we are counting it as 3-1-2 setups, and maybe we're going to get another one. However, I have to say, and I warned about that previously, or at least I made everybody aware, that sometimes at some point, you don't get these nice 1-2 setups anymore. We see that across the board now in the altcoins. I mean, we had a lot of 1-2 setups in recent months, and at some point you just don't get the deep pullbacks anymore. Crypto at some point just doesn't offer these deep pullbacks any longer, which is why it's usually a good idea to get positioned before an alt season is starting, or you're just left chasing. And there are many strategies how this can be done, but that's typically the best way to get positioned before the FOMO starts. So also here, obviously on the ETH chart, I mean, if this, yes, I'm showing the potential for a wave 2 pullback, I could be extremely shallow. It could just, if we are in the heart of a third wave rally, you might sometimes not get these deep pullbacks. That's all I can say. That's not predictable. I can only show the potential for a pullback. Sometimes the market offers it, sometimes not. Essentially, those support areas we show, they tell us when we have to change our perspective from a more bullish point of view to maybe a more bearish perspective. But at the moment, the market is bullish, and also Ethereum shows a roadmap towards 8 to 12K. Yeah, we're currently tracking basically on the smaller time frame this wave 1 to the upside, which might still get another move to the upside to give us a complete 5-wave structure. So let's go to the smaller time frame. Here you can see it actually on the 1-hour chart or 30-minute chart. It's highlighted in yellow. That's the scenario here on the 1-hour chart, which is bullish, which is giving us 5 waves to the upside. We've seen a wave 1, we've seen a wave 2, we've seen a wave 3. This here could be a wave 4, and then one more high to the upside would be ideal. The price seems to be moving in an ascending price channel. It's worth watching for support maybe at the channel lower boundary line, and it's worth watching for support at 2,699 as well as 2,605. They are the two next main support areas, and we also had some structural support in this region around the 38.2 Fibonacci retracement. As you know from previous updates, structure hasn't changed at all, so we're still in a situation in which the market could and should give us one more high. I will only start to change my opinion about this yellow wave count, which again would give us one more high, so it's quite a bullish perspective. As soon as the price starts to break below the 50% fib level, that would not be good for a wave 4. So for example, if that happens, it would already be quite a deep wave 4 if we get to the 50% Fibonacci level. However, I cannot really rule out that we get a wave 4 that goes down to 2,460. I have learned, however, over the years that a wave 4, also in a diagonal that goes to the golden ratio, is to be seen with skepticism. So it often indicates that something more bearish might be playing out. Again, all we're doing is to align ourselves with probabilities. It's not an exact science, but I can tell you that this is not an impulse, so it's a diagonal. And in a diagonal, even in a diagonal, a break below the 50% fib level indicates weakness, especially in crypto. So also it wouldn't have the right look. So best would be actually to find support somewhere in this upper part of the box, maybe down to 2,532. But still though, for me, the line in the sand is really 2,460. Essentially the entire orange box can be used, but it's just that below the 50% retracement, probabilities start to shift towards the white count that suggests here a move down into the green box. So much deeper pullback, and basically it would indicate that we've only rallied in 3 waves. But I don't need to focus on the white count other than mentioning it, because we're currently above the support area, and as you might know from previous updates, I'm leaning bullish as long as we're holding that box. Anything between the top, the recent price top, which was formed at 2,871, and the 61.8 retracement level, could be seen as a range, could be seen as an Elliott Wave range, and anything in between is literally just noise, right? So in a correction, you have a lot of noise. get a lot of microstructures basically that morph and change and transform all the time. Therefore, I often like to call it as noise, or like to call it noise also for anybody who's new to Elliott Wave, just to understand that in these corrective structures, really, you have a big mess. There's always a big mess. At the moment, I have no indication that this pullback in what could be wave 4 is complete. Of course, it could be complete. I mean, we have a corrective move to the downside, but it hasn't really come down deep enough to make that very likely. However, a break above 2,871 would suggest that we are in the 5th wave to the upside, which could take us to, let's calculate the next target, which can take us to $3,000 and beyond. That would be for me the, one second. There are a few ways how you can measure these targets. Let me just bring onto the chart actually. So yeah, so obviously we've had the 3rd wave that topped here around 2,870, and typically I'm, in terms of the next wave to the upside, then measured from the initial 1-2 setup, I typically like to go for 2 fib levels higher on the log chart of the initial 1-2 setup as a target for the wave 5. That gives us here $3,000. In another way of measuring, I can also take just the length of the wave 1. I go to the current low point of the wave 4. That also takes me to 3,000. However, obviously, if the wave 4 goes a little lower, which is possible still, we might still get one more low, well, then this target will go a little lower. Okay, so it depends a little bit on where the wave 4 eventually finishes. But then there's another way of measuring, in that we take the length of waves 1 and 3. We go to the current low point of wave 4. And then we're looking at the 38.2 extension, also points us to 3,030. So it seems to be pointing towards 3,000 plus. As I said, I don't want to give a limit, because as I've shown you on the daily chart, it could just go more directly. So I try to keep it very simple. Below 2,460, I have to shift my perspective towards something more bearish. But until that level breaks, we can focus on higher, and anything between the recent price top at 2,871 and the golden ratio level is literally just a range and noise. And as long as the golden ratio is holding, I am still focusing on another high, whereas I would get skeptical already below 2,532. That should give you all the information you need. So I hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment and subscribe. And if you really like the content, then please check out the channel membership. Also, make sure that you follow us on Instagram and Twitter for additional content. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye-bye.